be doing a DI, dramatic interpretation. Therefore, there's two types of IEs, or interpretations. Humorous interpretation, which is a little bit funnier and may make you laugh, and dramatic interpretation, which tends to be more on the sad side. So I really hope you guys enjoy this. I'll be doing Amazing Grace by Bradley Walton. Thank you. Amazing Grace. It was a favorite song of my mother and her best friend Velma. A couple of times a year I'd sing it for them at church. People in the congregation would come up to me afterwards and say things like, "That was amazing," or "I was so moved." But of course they weren't talking about me. Maybe they thought they were, but no. It was the song, not me. And it wasn't until years later I finally understood that. The one person in the church who was consistently unimpressed was Thelma's daughter, Sarah, who was a year older than me. Despite our moms constantly hanging out together, we moved in different social circles at school. We got along okay, but we were never really friends. Sarah had this ironic smile that she thought everything was a joke, and she was the only one who was in on it. Whenever I'd sing Amazing Grace at church, she'd watch people come up and talk to me after the services, and she'd smirk and shake her head. Then one day she said to me, "Your singing's not bad, but some of these people need to get a life." I should have been more offended on behalf of the congregation than myself, but of course I took it personally and pretty much stopped talking to her after that. Not that I think she noticed. She had plenty of other people to talk to. Sarah was kind of a wild child. She drank, she partied, and she spent a lot of time with a lot of different guys. She was trying to do whatever she wanted on her own terms. One night in the middle of Blair, Sarah went to a party. From what I heard, she got drunk and snuck off for a while with a guy named Chad. When Chad's girlfriend, Cindy, found out about it and confronted Sarah a couple hours later, there was a fight. Cindy lost. The fight, her boyfriend and her dignity. Sarah knocked back a couple of celebratory shots, got in her car, and drove home. She hit a tree going 70 miles an hour. She died. Have any of you ever thought of the words Amazing Grace? Amazing Grace. What it means to be saved or get that one second chance. Or maybe, have you ever been in a certain situation or met a certain person? That time may seem strange, insignificant, or even awful. But in the long run, you realize it has changed you, as my favorite musical, Wicked, says, for good. In this story, my character learns the true meaning of undeserved, amazing grace by Bradley Walton. Sarah was dead. But in an operating room in the county hospital, miraculously, they brought it back to life. Sort of. Sarah was in a coma and things were touch and go for a while. To my surprise, it was a real tough time for me. Sarah and I weren't close, but our families were. We all blamed Sarah and we felt guilty about it. There was no question Sarah was at fault. I'd like to think that most of the tears that were shed were for Sarah, not because of her. But I can't say for sure. We all waited for Sarah to wake up. We were hoping for another miracle. And 3 months later, we got it. Sarah woke up. We all knew things were going to be tough from there on out, that she'd never probably be quiet in herself, but she needed therapy and a wheelchair, and the real work was just beginning. But we had our miracle. Sarah had no memory of the night of the accident, and her recollection of her life in general was sketchy and incomplete. She didn't concentrate who people were. She'd start a conversation, then started again 5 minutes later. It was hard. Although she looked like Sarah, she wasn't really Sarah anymore. At least not Sarah we'd known. It was awful. It sounds changed weren't all bad. For Sarah had been snobby and arrogant before, now she was humble and appreciative. She loved to give hugs. There was no iron in her smile. When she said, "I love you," she genuinely meant it. She said everyone. Her automatic response to every single person who walked through her door was unconditional love. And although her helplessness and memory loss made her difficult to be around, we all loved her back. It wasn't possible not to. Oh, one day I was playing a board game with Sarah in a hospital room when a teenage girl walked in. Sarah looked up with a curious but welcoming smile. It was obvious she had no idea who the girl was, but I did. It was Cindy, the girl from the party on the night of the accident. I think my heart stopped. I had no idea what to say or what to do, and all I could think was, why me? Why am I the one here? Why not Sarah's mom or my mom? It was a pretty selfish thought. Sarah grinned. She was glad to have a new visitor. "Hi," she blurted. "Do I know you?" There was no awkwardness in the question, just an excited curiosity, as if she were unwrapping some present that might contain some lost treasure, keepsake. Cindy walked slowly and quietly into the room. "Yeah, you know me," she said softly. "Are we friends?" There was a long pause as Cindy looked down into Sarah's innocent, smiling eyes. And then finally, Cindy said, "Yeah, we're friends." "What's your name?" "Cindy. My name's Cindy." "I love you, Cindy." Cindy's lower lip trembled. She bent down, kissed Sarah on the forehead, then turned to walk slowly towards the door. "Bye, Cindy. Thanks for visiting me." Cindy turned. Her eyes were red and her lips were pressed tightly together. She raised her hand, waved goodbye, then walked out the door. Sat there thinking, why me? Why was I the one here? Why not Sarah's mom or my mom? This time wasn't a selfish thought. 50 minutes after Cindy left the hospital room, my mom arrived. "Sarah had a visitor today," I said. I looked eagerly at Sarah. I don't know what I was expecting. I knew Sarah had no idea who Cindy was or what happened during that visit, but I guess I just expected some recollection of something. Instead, Sarah looked up to me with wide-eyed curiosity. "Really? Who?" I had to leave the room then. I knew it upset her to see me cry. And that was the way things were. Every now and then a friend from school would come to visit her, but as the months went by, it came less and less. Eventually, Sarah did get out of the hospital, but she needed constant supervision. She was a child with no short-term memory inside a fragile, crippled adult body. She was our life. We all loved her, but we could feel ourselves crumbling under her weight. And although we all felt it, no one would say the words. Sarah was a burden. The price of our miracles was too high. For the next 8 years, we carried our burden and paid the price of the miracles we'd been given. During that time, Sarah grew gradually weaker and our burden became heavier. Until one day, Sarah finally slipped away. For good. Tears followed, tears of lost, tears of mournful hope. Sarah was finally at peace. And there were tears wept in private. was the funeral and the say goodbye. Through the past 8 years, my burden been the lightest. I'd helped Sarah more than anyone had expected of me, and although my efforts were always appreciated, they were never really asked for. Until now, there was one final burden, and this one was mine alone. Sarah's ma asked me to sing Amazing Grace at the funeral. I couldn't say no, but neither could I imagine doing it. I always cry at funerals, and it seemed impossible. But the past 8 years, our two families done the impossible. How could I do any less now? I remember how Sarah had rolled her eyes at people's reaction to the song years before, but she was a different person when she died, and I had a strong feeling somehow this would make her happy. As I stood at the front of the church, I tried to keep my mind blank, to not feel, to not think, to not hear the sobbing noises all throughout the church. I told myself there was no congregation, there was no flower-covered casket in front of me, there was no me. I didn't exist, I didn't matter. There was only the song. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. All at once, nothing in the world existed but the song. And it was the one thing I couldn't ignore. I couldn't ignore how it made me feel. And I understood, finally, what the members of the congregation tried to express to me so many years before. The song brought them a sense of peace and comfort. It made them feel safe. It made them feel loved. It made them feel how Sarah would have wanted them to feel. I could feel the tears welling up my eyes, but my voice stayed clear.